What's going on YouTube? Crazyncman here to take a look at the Elite Force G36C Competition Series AEG. Now this is a fully licensed product from Umarex USA and Elite Force, therefore we can call it a G36C. It has the H&K trademarks and all that other cool stuff, and like I said before, licensed guns are good for our industry. Unlicensed replicas that companies don't want produced are bad for our industry. So the H&K G36C by Elite Force. Now the competition series was made to be more of an entry-level gun. They come with everything you need to get started, a battery, a charger, and all that. But there's subtle differences between the competition series and the Elite series, which is their higher-end brand, which is made for more experienced players. But basically, the competition series, you get a metal gearbox housing and steel gears and all that stuff on the internals. They just do a little bit different on the externals to keep the costs down. Now the competition series guns come with everything you need to get started, which is ideal for the new player. You don't have any batteries, chargers, stuff like that. You got everything you need right here in the box. And the other huge benefit for the new player is the competition series come with a 60-day warranty that is factory serviced. If you have an issue with your gun or you just have questions, the factory is here to support you, so that makes it even a bigger plus for the new players. So what you're going to get, obviously the gun itself, you get a 450 round high capacity magazine, or high cap as these are called. And again, if you're a new player, a high cap means it holds generally more than a couple hundred rounds. In this case 450. You open the door, you dump the BBs in there, and then they have the wheel on the bottom, because I get this question a lot in skirmish videos. People, they're like, why are they putting their finger on the bottom of the magazine? And you got to wind that wheel up, which winds the spring up, which keeps the BBs feeding out of the mag. So that's what a high cap or high capacity magazine is. You get a simple wall charger, and I've said it before, these will work, they work fine, but there's a lot of guesswork and they can damage your battery, and you're not going to get the maximum charge in your battery. So this will do you fine to get started, but please monitor it carefully. Try not to overcharge your battery, but you're better off to buy a universal smart charger made for nickel metal hydride batteries. And get rid of that simple wall charger. You get an 1100 milliamp hour small type battery with a small Tamiya connector, and I don't know where they started, but a lot of people are saying these are test batteries. They're not test batteries. These things are fine. I've had these generic batteries last for 3-4 years. Then again, sometimes they go bad off the bat, but a lot of times this is the culprit of why these go bad from being overcharged. But these are not test batteries. They work fine. But you'll find after you get into Airsoft and you start playing in bigger games and stuff that you're going to need more than one battery anyway, so you wind up with a ton of batteries like the rest of us. But 1100 milliamp hour battery, you'll get about 3,300 shots, 3,300 to 4,000 shots approximately in between charges. You get a manual. And the Elite Force manuals are excellent. They're very well written. They're very detailed. They tell you everything you need to know about this gun and how to use it and how to use it safely. You get a registration card. You get some propaganda with their Facebook, with their BBs. As you can see, I can highly recommend the BBs. I don't just say that because I sell them. I use them. Elite Force, they make excellent, excellent BBs. And their Bio BBs, you can use them in any gun you want. They are excellent, excellent BBs. They're not going to damage your gun, and biodegradables are the way to go. And then the yellow card in these Elite Force Umarex USA guns is the slip that says do not return to the retailer, which is a huge plus. If you have an issue, you can contact the folks in Arkansas and get some help, and then if you need to send your gun back, you send it right back to the factory. The factory reps will service your gun and get it back to you. So that's a big plus. I wish every Airsoft company would follow suit of what Elite Force and Umarex USA are doing, because it's the right thing to do for the players. All right, now the H&K G36C is a full plastic bodied gun, and I get questions about this a lot. People are like, well, where can I get a full metal G36? They don't make one because the real one is not full metal, so the Airsoft version is not full metal either. And my first impression out of the box was this thing looks pretty nice, but the plastic's a little shiny on it, and the plastic on the buttstock here is really, really shiny and kind of cheap, and that was the first thing that caught my eye once I picked it up. Was like, ah, man, it's kind of shiny, but it's still a good looking gun. They did a nice job replicating the G36C, but compared to some of my other ones, some of my higher end guns, you can definitely tell the difference in the exterior. Now the functions on it is like any Airsoft gun. You got a fire selector switch on both sides. This gun is fully ambidextrous. Obviously it'll go into semi and fully automatic. The magazine release is right here. You can use it with both hands. Again, fully ambidextrous gun. You have a sling mount on the front. You have a sling mount here on the stock. You have a sling mount here on the side. And then obviously the 3 metal rails. And then the flat top rail, it's fully plastic, which is another thing I didn't like, but we'll go over that in the end. The charging handle, you pull it back to reveal the adjustable hop-up system. And then of course G36's side fold stock, it locks to the body. Makes it a perfect gun for CQB, obviously. And the FPS is suited just right. This thing shot 340 FPS with a 2.0, which makes it absolutely perfect for most CQB fields here in the United States. But that's your basic externals on it. You can see it has the lugs on the side of the magazine. If you want to clip 2 magazines together, then you can do that, and that makes for a nice rapid change going from one mag to the other. But of course it is a little bulky. But that's the basics of the exterior of the G36C. Now the internals on the gun, it's a metal gearbox housing with steel gears. These are made by S&T. It's got all the features you'd expect in a gun in this price range, and it's a pretty decent performing box. The S&T has a lot of features that the Aries had, since some of the engineers left Aries and started S&T, like the micro switch trigger setup. And I like it and I don't like it. I don't like the way it's activated. I never have. I think they could come up with a little better mechanism. But I like the trigger response. This thing, whether you use an 8.4 volt, 9.6 volt, it's got a very nice trigger response with the micro switch setup. And then of course, like the Aries, the S&T, if you remove the rear body pin and then fold the stock over, it has a quick change spring feature, which you just pull this out. That's the spring for your charging handle. But basically you just take this flathead screw, that's just kind of a cap, you take that off, and then there's an Allen wrench, Allen key slot underneath. Put an Allen wrench in, twist it, and the whole spring guide and spring comes out. That way if you need to change the FPS of your gun, you can do it without having to remove your entire gearbox, without having to open it up and all that other pain in the butt crap like the other models. This is the best feature of the Elite Force guns, is the quick change spring. You can literally change the FPS in your gun in just a minute or two, and you don't have to mess around with your gearbox. So that's an awesome feature, very easy to do, and I'd like to see that more widely used in Airsoft, because it's just a great feature. Now, one of the things I didn't like on the Elite Force HK G36C competition series, like I said before, I don't like the body work, especially the rear stock. I find it just a little lighter duty, a little lighter plastic than what I'd like to see. But my main complaint on this gun was the outer barrel on the front. Obviously it's got a metal inner barrel, but the outer barrel right here is all plastic. Again, they do that to keep the manufacturing costs down, but that's one thing I really didn't like about these. Now it's rigid enough to where it doesn't affect the gun's accuracy at all. It's not like it's wobbling around and stuff. But what I'd worry about with that setup on the front of it is if you were in the situation where you were, you're in the woods and you spin around with it and you whack the flash hider into a tree. I kind of wonder how much force it'll take to actually crack that outer barrel or crack the housing that's holding it. And I've been trying to think of a good way to come up with to test it, but I really haven't come up with a fair way to do it. Other than, you can't never predict how fast you're going to turn around. So, but I might try it, whack it against a tree a couple times, see if we can crack it, maybe drop it on the front of the flash hider. But that was my biggest complaint, was the plastic outer barrel. I wish they would have just stuck with the metal setup. Yeah, it might have added a little more cost to the gun, but in the long run, I think it'd be better. So those are my only 2 complaints about the gun. It performed pretty nice. The price is right. I love the G36 style guns. I have several of them, and it's just a great AEG.